have to like do an extra step of click and go live. Okay, the vertical should now be live. There we go. Yes, if anyone from Twitch is able to open up the YouTube stream, like even just on your second or third monitor, just drop an alert there. That helps with the watch hours. And it really sucked to not make any progress on that this past week since we haven't been going live over there. Anyways, it means a whole bunch. It means a whole bunch. Yeah, that first of those links, the app Faolkor, that is where we are live on YouTube now. That's where the reading VODs get posted, and also, and I know I need to make some real progress on this, but the edited versions of the reading VODs. The second one of those is for ASMR triggers, which I know the reading can, you know, be considered ASMR adjacent as well, but just for tidiness, I've decided to keep them separate on YouTube. But anyway, if you could drop not a follow, a subscribe, which is YouTube's version of a follow, that would mean the world to me. Hi, Rhino Rhyme. You're a rhino? Well, seems like your name is very fitting then. A very fitting name. You'll even follow on Blue Sky Grands. Thank you. I posted on Blue Sky today. I'm terrible at social media. I do have you know, vague ideas and goals about being better. I also have a Twitter, and sometimes I post there, and sometimes I post in Blue Sky, and sometimes I post the same thing to both, but sometimes I don't. Like tonight, I posted just to Blue Sky, and I don't like posting my pictures on Twitter anymore, since they got like a pervert bot on there that undresses people. Like, I'm just, I don't know. Anyway. So yeah, in terms of like, because I posted it's just like a little, you know, picture of my OBS with me on it on Blue Sky. I don't even want to post that on Twitter, because ew. Yeah. Farrell, thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. It is a cesspool. It's crazy. Grateful Tinkle is Manon. Yay, Manon, thank you. Thank you, thank you. We get the Lady Faolkor story? Wait, what do you mean? What do you mean? Yes, liking the YouTube is helpful as well. And honestly, I mean, I say just like, you know, if you can open it in alert, but chatting also does help. But I don't want to like ask a lot of you guys. My main concern is that you're having a good time and cozy. So have you tried? Oh my god, DJ, I keep forgetting, literally. And then between streams I'm like, oh yeah, I gotta do that. And then literally today I posted that I was going live over on Blue Sky, and I forgot about that feature. Hi, Diomedes. Hello. Grok is a pervert, yeah. So is everyone using him. Every single because you're not allowed to talk about nuance on the internet. Every single person who uses Grok is just a raging pervert. This is how to be successful online, right? You start some shit. You stir some shit up. Am I a ghost? No, I'm a dragon. But welcome, Mr. Mark. All right. Okay, so we're starting a new book tonight. I resemble this statement. A zombie. Okay. Hi, chill guy. I'm assuming you're not talking about me. So yeah, I hope you get a sign if she's the one. Yay. Yay, chill guy. Dragons are pale. I mean, I'm pale year-round, but that's because I avoid the sun. Am I literally a dragon? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I just have to, like, take human form to read to you. Yeah. Alright. So we're starting a new book. We are starting a new book tonight. And it's one that I've been wanting to read for a while. And then we just had so many other things to read, and we just haven't yet. Simagna. I'm, like, literally hundreds of years old. Again, I'm a dragon. Centuries. Bruh. Centuries old. Okay. I'm a little fuzzy on it because I've taken some really long naps in the course of my life, and it's hard to keep track. Okay. It's against TOS. Yeah, it's too threatening / erotic to be in giant lizard form. Yeah. Hi, Lockdown. Hi. Okay. You're reading with a party of 3? Wait, what? On YouTube? Oh no, party of 1 on YouTube? What do you mean? Thank you. Oh, you just mean you're coming to hang out on YouTube. Thank you, Deep Fried. Dragons have gold. No. I have books. I'm a book dragon. I hoard books. It's my thing. Sometimes I have gold, but then I swiftly spend it on books. So we are reading a book called Behind a Mask. It is written by Louisa May Alcott, who is better known for her book Little Women, but she also wrote multiple books under a pseudonym, A.M. Barnard. This one was originally published by A.M. Barnard. Like other authoresses of the time, yes, that's a crazy quaint word, but it was used back in the day. She did write under a male pseudonym for some of her books, so this one was published under that name originally. Did you say you're threatening eroticism with your latest book? I didn't at all, like, not even close, Deep Fried, but I'm not gonna say that I'm not doing that. But I certainly didn't say that. Hey, Starchives. Transforming money into books is one of your hobbies? Yeah. It's the best magic around. Diomedes. Thank you for the 500 biddies. Thank you. Wait, Taco Cat, did I say thank you for the 100 bits, or did that happen during my quick break? And also Dalton for the follow, which I think also might have been during my break. Welcome in. Sorry about that. Artax, thank you for the 100 biddies. Thank you. Yeah, so I haven't read this before. You may have the gold thing reversed. Wait, you sell books for gold? I have read Little Women and Good Wives before, so I have read Alcott's writing before, and I enjoyed it. But Diomedes with another 500 biddies? Thank you. What the heck? That's really sweet of you. Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. Oh, it shouldn't be, Fidge. I have it on cardioid mode instead of stereo. Is my sound off again? It's doing the thing again? No. Is it? This happened at the beginning of stream, that sound was only coming in one ear. Oh, for fuck's... Okay. Let me take 1 minute before we start reading. I'm gonna unplug and replug my cables because that fixed it before. I have no idea why that's happening, but let's just do that, okay? Hold on. How's this? Is this better? Diomedes! Thank you for the 1,000 biddies! Thank you! Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. Hi, Baya. Or is it Baya? I'm so sorry. I think I've asked you this before as well. I'm so sorry. Quantum Weasel, hi, over on YouTube. It is better? Okay. So, I don't know why, because the cables are not coming loose. But apparently unplugging them, replugging them is helping. So, you know, who am I to argue with God? Okay. Alright. Okay. Hi, Rusty. Thank you for the 7 stream streak. How are you doing? Hello, hello. Let me just crack a little ghost. That was very loud. Okay. The YouTube crew arrives. Hi, YouTube crew. Hello. Yeah. Come on, Ghost. Sponsor me. Sponsor me. Sponsor me, Ghost. Sponsor me. Alright, chill guy. Thank you for that stretch. Your ears are bleeding? I haven't even started reading yet. You just wait. Buckle in. Oof. Okay. Behind a Mask. Or A Woman's Power. By Louisa May Alcott, aka... Or by A.M. Barnard, aka Louisa May Alcott. Heck yeah. Alright. Paradise Lost Milk? No, but I would actually be down to read Paradise Lost at some point. On stream. It's been a while since I've read it, so. Okay. Chapter 1. Jean Muir. Has she come? No, Mamma, not yet. Oh, I wish it were well over. The thought of it worries and excites me. A cushion for my back, Bella. And poor, peevish Mrs. Coventry sank into an easy chair with a nervous sigh and the air of a martyr, while her pretty daughter hovered about her with affectionate solicitude. "Who are they talking of, Lucia?" asked the languid young man, lounging on a couch near his cousin, who bent over her tapestry work with a happy smile on her usually haughty face. "The new governess, Miss Muir. Muir? I'm pretty sure that's how you say it. The new governess, Miss Muir. Shall I tell you about her?" "No, thank you. I have an inveterate aversion to the whole tribe. I've often thanked heaven that I had but one sister, and she a spoiled child, so that I've escaped the infliction of a governess so long." "How will you bear it now?" asked Lucia. "Leave the house while she is in it." "No, you won't. You're too lazy, Gerald," called out a younger and more energetic man from the recess where he stood teasing his dogs. "I'll give her a 3 days' trial. If she proves endurable, I shall not disturb myself. If, as I am sure, she is a boor, Well, I'm off anywhere out of her way. Well, I beg you won't talk in that depressing manner, boys. I dread the coming of a stranger more than you possibly can, but Bella must not be neglected. So I have nerved myself to endure this woman, and Lucia is good enough to say she will attend to her after tonight. Don't be troubled, Mamma. She is a nice person, I dare say, and when once we are used to her, I've no doubt we shall be glad to have her. Oh, it's so dull here just now. Lady Sydney said she was a quiet, accomplished, amiable girl who needed a home and would be a help to poor stupid me. So try to like her, for my sake. I will, dear, but isn't it getting late? I do hope nothing has happened. Did you tell them to send a carriage to the station for her, Gerald? I forgot it. Oh, but it's not far. It won't hurt her to walk, was the languid reply. It was indolence, not forgetfulness. I know. I'm very sorry. She will think it so rude to leave her to find her way so late. Oh, do go and see to it, Ned. Too late, Bella. The train was in some time ago. Give your orders to me next time, Mother, and I'll see that they're obeyed, said Edward. Well, Ned is just at an age to make a fool of himself for any girl who comes in his way. Oh, no, wait, this is Gerald. Sorry. I'm new to these characters, so as I'm reading and, choosing the voices for them, I'm trying to suss out, what their characters are like or what kind of voices they would have, right? Am I a lion? No, I'm a dragon. She's a curve. Hey. Ned is just at an age to make a fool of himself for any girl who comes in his way. Have a care of the governess, Lucia, or she will bewitch him. Gerald spoke in a satirical whisper, but his brother heard him and answered with a good-humored laugh. I wish there was any hope of your making a fool of yourself in that way, old fellow. Set me as a good example, and I promise to follow it. Well, as for the governess, she is a woman, and should be treated with common civility. I should say a little extra kindness wouldn't be amiss, either, because she is poor and a stranger. That is my dear, good-hearted Ned. Oh, wait, sorry, this is Bella. That is my dear, good-hearted Ned. We'll stand by poor little Muir, won't we? And running to her brother, Bella stood on tiptoe to offer him a kiss which he could not refuse, for the rosy lips were pursed up invitingly, and the bright eyes full of sisterly affection. Okay. Am I a dragon? Yep. Yep. I'm just in person form so that I can read you a book. Yeah. Because if I was in dragon form, it would just be like... I do hope she has come, for when I make an effort to see anyone, I hate to make it in vain. Oh, punctuality is such a virtue, and I know this woman hasn't got it, for she promised to be here at 7, and now it is long after, began Mrs. Coventry in an injured tone. Before she could get breath for another complaint, the clock struck 7, and the doorbell rang. There she is, cried Bella, and turned toward the door as if to go and meet the newcomer. But Lucia arrested her, saying authoritatively, Stay here, child. It is her place to come to you, not yours to go to her. Miss Muir, announced a servant, and a little black-robed figure stood in the doorway. For an instant, no one stirred, and the governess had time to see and be seen before a word was uttered. All looked at her, and she cast on the household group a keen glance that impressed them curiously. Then her eyes fell, and, bowing slightly, she walked in. Edward came forward and received her with the frank cordiality which nothing could daunt or chill. Mother, this is the lady whom you expected. Miss Muir, allow me to apologize for our apparent neglect in not sending for you. There was a mistake about the carriage. Or, rather, the lazy fellow to whom the order was given forgot it. Bella, come here. Thank you. No apology is needed. I did not expect to be sent for. And the governess meekly sat down, without lifting her eyes. Hi, Leonardo. Hello. And Pra. I'm sorry, I'm obviously missing some messages as I read, but... On the vertical, it just says Faolkor. Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. How is the name spelled? Can we give... Yeah, you can call me Faolkor or Fal. Okay. I am glad to see you. Let me take your things, said Bella, rather shyly, for Gerald, still lounging, watched the fireside group with languid interest, and Lucia never stirred. Mrs. Coventry took a second survey and began. Well, you were punctual, Miss Muir, which pleases me. Oh, I'm a sad invalid, as Lady Sydney told you, I hope, so that Miss Coventry's lessons will be directed by my niece, and you will go to her for directions, as she knows what I wish. You will excuse me if I ask you a few questions, for Lady Sydney's note was very brief, and I left everything to her judgment. Ask anything you like, madam, answered the soft, sad voice. You are Scotch, I believe. Yes, madam. Oh, I cannot do a Scottish accent, you guys. I can't do it. You hate my speech? That's alright, there's like billions of other YouTube channels for you to watch. I cannot do a Scottish accent, you guys. Are your parents living? I have not a relation in the world. Oh, dear me, how sad. Do you mind telling me your age? 19. And a smile passed over Miss Muir's lips as she folded her hands with an air of resignation, for the catechism was evidently to be a long one. So young. Lady Sydney mentioned 5 and 20, I think, didn't she, Bella? No, Mamma. She only said she thought so. Don't ask such questions. It's not pleasant before us all, whispered Bella. A quick, grateful glance shone on her from the suddenly lifted eyes of Miss Muir, as she said quietly, Oh, I wish I was 30, but as I am not, I do my best to look and seem old. Of course, everyone looked at her then, and all felt a touch of pity at the sight of the pale-faced girl in her plain black dress, with no ornament but a little silver cross at her throat. Small, thin, and colorless she was, with yellow hair, gray eyes, and sharply cut, irregular, but very expressive features. And poverty seemed to have set its bond stamp upon her, and life to have had for her more frost than sunshine. But something in the lines of the mouth betrayed strength, and the clear, low voice had a curious mixture of command and entreaty in its varying tones. Not an attractive woman, yet not an ordinary one, and as she sat there, with her delicate hands lying in her lap, her head bent, and a bitter look on her thin face, she was more interesting than many a blithe and blooming girl. Bella's heart warmed her at once, and she drew her seat nearer, while Edward went back to his dogs, that his presence might not embarrass her. You have been ill, I think, continued Mrs. Coventry, who considered this fact the most interesting of all she had heard concerning the governess. Yes, madam. I left the hospital only a week ago. Are you quite sure it is safe to begin teaching so soon? I have no time to lose. and shall soon gain strength here in the country, if you care to keep me. And you are fitted to teach music, French, and drawing. I shall endeavour to prove that I am. Be kind enough to go and play an air or two. I can judge by your touch. I used to play finely when I was a girl. Miss Muir rose, looked about her for the instrument, and, seeing it at the other end of the room, went toward it, passing Gerald and Lucia, as if she did not see them. Bella followed, and in a moment forgot everything in admiration. Miss Muir played like one who loved music, and was perfect mistress of her art. She charmed them all by the magic of this spell. Even indolent Gerald sat up to listen, and Lucia put down her needle, while Ned watched the slender white fingers as they flew, and wondered at the strength and skill which they possessed. "Oh, please sing," pleaded Bella, as a brilliant overture ended. With the same meek obedience, Miss Muir complied, and began a little Scotch melody, so sweet, so sad, that the girl's eyes filled, and Mrs. Coventry looked for one of her many pocket handkerchiefs. But suddenly the music ceased, for, with a vain attempt to support herself, the singer slid from her seat and lay before the startled listeners, as white and rigid as if struck with death. Hi, Shawnee boy. Edward caught her up and, ordering his brother off the couch, laid her there, while Bella chafed her hands and her mother rang for her maid. Lucia bathed the poor girl's temples, and Gerald, with unwonted energy, brought a glass of wine. Soon Miss Muir's lips trembled. She sighed, then murmured tenderly, with a pretty Scotch accent, as if wandering the past, "Bide with me, mither. I'm sae sick and sad here all alone." "Take a sip of this, and it will do you good, my dear," said Mrs. Coventry, quite touched by the plaintive words. The strange voice seemed to recall her. She sat up, looked about her a little wildly for a moment, then collected herself and said, with a pathetic look and tone, "Pardon me. I've been on my feet all day, and in my eagerness to keep my appointment, I forgot to eat since morning. I am better now. Shall I finish the song?" "Oh, by no means. Come and have some tea," said Bella, full of pity and remorse. "Scene first. Very well done," whispered Gerald to his cousin. Miss Muir was just before them, apparently listening to Mrs. Coventry's remarks upon fainting fits, but she heard and looked over her shoulders with a gesture like Rachel. Her eyes were grey, but at that instant they seemed black with some strong emotion of anger, pride, or defiance. A curious smile passed over her face as she bowed and said, in her penetrating voice, "Thanks. The last scene shall be still better." Young Coventry was a cool, indolent man, seldom conscious of any emotion, any passion, pleasurable or otherwise. But at the look, the tone of the governess, he experienced a new sensation, indefinable yet strong. Sorry. He colored and, for the first time in his life, looked abashed. Lucia saw it and hated Miss Muir with a sudden hatred, for in all the years she had passed with her cousin, no look or word of hers had possessed such power. Coventry was himself again in an instant, with no trace of that passing change, but a look of interest in his usually dreamy eyes and a touch of anger in his sarcastic voice. "Hi, Sanchobi!" And Lemon said hello over on the YouTube. Thank you, thank you. What What a melodramatic young lady. I shall go tomorrow. Lucia laughed, and was well pleased when he sauntered away to bring her a cup of tea from the table where a little scene was just taking place. Mrs. Coventry had sunk into her chair again, exhausted by the flurry of the fainting fit. Bella was busied about her, and Edward... Wait, am I reading Twilight? Oh, Lord, okay. Bella was busied about her, and Edward, eager to feed the pale governess, was awkwardly trying to make the tea, after a beseeching glance at his cousin, which she did not choose to answer. As he upset the caddy and uttered a despairing exclamation, Miss Muir quietly took her place behind the urn, saying with a smile and a shy glance at the young man, "Allow me to assume my duty at once, and serve you all. I understand the art of making people comfortable in this way. The scoop, please. I can gather this up quite well alone, if you will tell me how your mother likes her tea." Edward pulled a chair to the table and made merry over his mishaps, while Miss Muir performed her little task with a skill and grace that made it pleasant to watch her. Coventry lingered a moment after she had given him a steaming cup, to observe her more nearly, while he asked a question or two of his brother. She took no more notice of him than if he had been a statue, and in the middle of the one remark he addressed to her, she rose to take the sugar basin to Mrs. Coventry, who was quite won by the modest domestic graces of the new governess. Oh my goodness. Really, my dear, you are a treasure. I haven't tasted such tea since my poor maid Ellis died. Bella never makes it good, and Miss Lucia always forgets the cream. Whatever you do, you seem to do well, and that is such a comfort. Let me always do this for you, then. It will be a pleasure, madam. And Miss Muir came back to her seat with a faint colour in her cheek, which improved her much. My brother asked if young Sidney was at home when you left, said Edward, for Gerald would not take the trouble to repeat the question. Miss Muir fixed her eyes on Coventry, and answered, with a slight tremor of the lips, "No, he left home some weeks ago." The young man went back to his cousin, saying, as he threw himself down beside her, "I shall not go out tomorrow, but wait till the 3 days are out." "Why?" demanded Lucia. Lowering his voice, he said, with a significant nod toward the governess, "Because I have a fancy that she is at the bottom of Sidney's mystery. He's not been himself lately, and now he is gone without a word. I rather like romances in real life, if they are not too long or difficult to read." "Do you think her pretty?" "Far from it. A most uncanny little specimen." "Then why fancy Sidney loves her?" "He is an oddity, and likes sensations and things of that sort." "What do you mean, Gerald?" "No, Gerald. Sorry. I keep wanting to say Geralt, like The Witcher." "What do you mean, Gerald?" "Get the Muir to look at you, as she did at me. You will understand. Will you have another cup, Juno?" "Yes, please." She liked to have him wait upon her, for he did it to no other woman except his mother. I'm sorry, what is the... Are they brother and sister? Okay, let me try to... There's Mrs. Coventry, who is the mother of Bella. Miss Muir has arrived to be Bella's governess. Bella is like 16, right? Gerald Coventry is Mrs. Coventry's brother, I think. And then is Lucia... I don't totally get what all their relation is. There's Edward and Lucia, who I think are younger than Gerald, older than Bella. Yeah. What is... Um, Bella Coventry is the youngest of the Coventry children. Oh, maybe they're all siblings? Gerald is the oldest son. Bella is the youngest daughter. Edward. Okay, so Gerald, Edward, and Bella are siblings. They're all Coventrys. Gerald is the heir, because he's the eldest son, so he will inherit. Lucia Beaufort is Gerald's cousin. And that's why it seems like they're flirting, because cousins, it was not unusual for them to, like, get hitched. Maybe there's something. She's a cousin, yeah. Yeah. We've got Edward and Bella in there with Geralt of Rivia. It's a crazy time. Yeah, fair game. Yeah. Hi Ben, welcome in. How are you? Okay. Before he could slowly rise, Miss Muir glided to them with another cup on the salver, and as Lucia took it with a cold nod, the girl said under her breath, "I think it honest to tell you that I possess a quick ear and cannot help hearing what is said anywhere in the room. What you say of me is of no consequence, but you may speak of things which you prefer I should not hear. Therefore, allow me to warn you." And she was gone again as noiselessly as she came. "How do you like that?" whispered Coventry, as his cousin sat looking after the girl with a disturbed expression. "What an uncomfortable creature to have in the house. I'm very sorry I urged her coming, for your mother has taken a fancy to her, and it will be hard to get rid of her," said Lucia, half angry, half amused. "Hush, she hears every word you say. I know it by the expression of her face, for Ned is talking about horses, and she looks as haughty as ever you did, and that is saying much. Faith, this is getting interesting. Hark, she's speaking, I want to hear." And Lucia laid her hand on her cousin's lips. He kissed it, and then idly amused himself with turning the rings to and fro on the slender fingers. "Hi, Parisia, hello. My beauty is making your eye bleed? Oh my god, you should probably stop watching and go to the emergency room." Hi, Coded. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Christ. Like, that's a really intense reaction. Okay. I have been in France several years, madam, but my friend died and I came back to be with Lady Sydney till... Muir paused an instant, then added slowly, "till I fell ill. It was a contagious fever, so I went of my own accord to the hospital, not wishing to endanger her." "Very right, but are you sure there's no danger of infection now?" asked Mrs. Coventry anxiously. "Oh, none, I assure you. I've been well for some time, but did not leave because I preferred to stay there than to return to Lady Sydney." "No quarrel, I hope? No trouble of any kind?" "No quarrel, but... well, why not? You have a right to know, and I will not make a foolish mystery out of a very simple thing. As your family only is present, I may tell the truth. I did not go back on the young gentleman's account. Please ask no more." "Ah, I see. Quite prudent and proper, Miss Muir. I shall never allude to it again. Thank you for your frankness. Bella, you will be careful not to mention this to young friends. Girls gossip, sadly, and it would annoy Lady Sydney beyond everything to have this talked of. Very neighbourly of Lady S to send the dangerous young lady here, where there are 2 young gentlemen to be captivated. I wonder why she didn't keep Sydney after she had caught him, murmured Coventry to his cousin. Because she had the utmost contempt for a titled fool. Miss Muir dropped the words almost into his ear as she bent to take her shawl from the sofa corner. How the deuce did she get there? Ejaculated Coventry, looking as if he had received another sensation. Oh, she has spirit, though, and upon my word I pity Sydney, if he did try to dazzle her, for he must have got a splendid dismissal. You saw this book yesterday at the... Oh, interesting. Okay. Come and play billiards. You promised, and I hold you to your word, said Lucia, rising with decision, for Gerald was showing too much interest in another to suit Miss Beaufort. I am, as ever, your most devoted... My mother is a charming woman, but I find our evening parties slightly dull, when only my own family are present. Good night, Mamma. He shook hands with his mother, whose pride and idol he was, and, with a comprehensive nod to the others, strolled after his cousin. Now they are gone, we can be quite cozy and talk over things, for I don't mind Ned any more than I do his dogs, said Bella, settling herself on her mother's footstool. I merely wish to say, Miss Muir, that my daughter has never had a governess, and is sadly backward for a girl of 16. I want you to pass the mornings with her, and get her on as rapidly as possible. In the afternoon you will walk or drive with her, and in the evening sit with us here, if you like, or amuse yourself as you please. Well, in the country we are very quiet, for I cannot bear much company. And when my sons want gaiety, they go away for it. Miss Beaufort oversees the servants, and takes my place as far as possible. I'm very delicate, and keep my room till evening, except for an airing at noon. We will try each other for a month, and I hope we shall get on quite comfortably together. I shall do my best, madame. I shall do my best, madam. One would not have believed that the meek, spiritless voice which uttered these words was the same that had startled Coventry a few minutes before, nor that the pale, patient face could ever have kindled with such sudden fire as that which looked over Miss Muir's shoulder when she answered her young host's speech. Edward thought within himself, poor little woman, she's had a hard life. We will try and make it easier while she is here, and began his charitable work by suggesting that she might be tired. She acknowledged she was, and Bella led her away to a bright, cozy room, where, with a pretty little speech and a good-night kiss, she left her. When alone, Miss Muir's conduct was decidedly peculiar. Her first act was to clench her hands and mutter between her teeth with passionate force, "I'll not fail again if there is power in a woman's wit and will." She stood for a moment, motionless, with an expression of almost fierce disdain on her face, then shook her clenched hand as if menacing some unseen enemy. Next, she laughed, and shrugged her shoulders with a true French shrug, saying low to herself, "Yes, the last scene shall be better than the first. Mon Dieu, how tired and hungry I am." Kneeling before the one small trunk which held her worldly possessions, she opened it, drew out a flask, and mixed a glass of some ardent cordial, which she seemed to enjoy extremely as she sat on the carpet, musing, while her quick eyes examined every corner of the room. "Not bad. It will be a good field for me to work in, and the harder the task, the better I shall like it. Merci, old friend. You put heart and courage into me when nothing else will. Come, the curtain is down, so I may be myself for a few hours, if actresses ever are themselves. Still sitting on the floor, she unbound and removed the long, abundant braids from her head, wiped the pink from her face, took out several pearly teeth, and slipping off her dress, appeared herself indeed, a haggard, worn, and moody woman, of 30 at least. Oh, the metamorphosis was wonderful, but the disguise was more in the expression she assumed than in any art of costume or false adornment. Now she was alone, and her mobile features settled into their natural expression. Weary, hard, bitter. She had been lovely once, happy, innocent, and tender, but nothing of all this remained to the gloomy woman who leaned there brooding over some wrong or loss or disappointment which had darkened all her life. For an hour she sat so, sometimes playing absently with the scanty locks that hung about her face, sometimes lifting the glass to her lips, as if the fiery draught warmed her cold blood, and once she half uncovered her breast to eye with a terrible glance. Oh, and once she half uncovered her breast to eye with a terrible glance the scar of a newly healed wound. At last she rose and crept to bed, like one worn out with weariness and mental pain. End of chapter. Okay, let's chat. Let's chat about what's going on so far. Now, I will say, I didn't expect for things to be so blatantly spelled out for the reader this early. It seems that we are doing the dramatic irony thing, where the reader knows what's going on, but the characters don't. Rahul, hello Rahul. I'm doing well, how are you? So, this family has asked for a governess. This one was recommended by this Sydney character, which we're going to have to learn more about. She is coming to them saying that she's a 19-year-old and just, a governess that has left her last post. She's implying there was a young man kind of pursuing her and she didn't want to be involved with that, and so she put her virtue in her job before that and left that post. No, she already is behaving kind of a suspicious way at the first tea. Again, I kind of thought it would be longer until we started seeing some strange behavior, but she is coming across as very meek and sweet and charming and talented, but also she's kind of spicy. She's got some sharp-witted comebacks to Gerald, and apparently can eavesdrop really well, and yeah. So then she goes back to her room. She is an actress. She's not a governess. She is an actress, and she's around 30 years old, not 19. Now, 30 is that weird age where 30 is not old. 30 is young. But back then, if you'd had a hard life, you could certainly look very haggard at the age of 30. Do you know what I mean? It's that middle range where she's using makeup and prosthetics and things and is able to pass for 19. But without the makeup and prosthetics, she looks pretty haggard because presumably she's had a tough life, because I think being an actress at the time was not a very respectable career for a lady. Anyway, she's missing several teeth. She's pretty thin. She kind of goes to her room and takes out a bottle of fire water. And we know that we know that she's got these secrets. We don't know all her secrets, but we know that this is not her trying to like get out of the acting game and like try to fool them that she's a governess so that she can get into a different line of work. No, no, no. She views this as a post, as an acting job. Now, we don't know yet whether it's for her own means, that there's something she wants to get out of it, whether this Sydney character or someone that hasn't been mentioned yet has like employed her to do that. We don't know the details yet, but she is coming into this deceptively, intentionally deceptively, viewing this as an acting job, and we don't know why or what she wants, but we know that she is lying to everybody. I do not speak Hindi, no, sorry. Anyways, I'm intrigued. What about you guys? What are you thinking? Like, she is actively pulling one over on this posh, rich British family. She knows a little French. She did say that she lived in Paris for a little bit. But I don't know if she's actually Scottish or not. She's saying that she's Scottish. And then she fainted, but I don't think that was a real... I think that was a fake faint. And when she was coming out of the faint, she like speaks in more of like a Scottish brogue, you know? Which... And, like, the dialogue in the book, that line she says when she's waking up from the faint, is, like, spelt in dialect. Do you know what I mean? And the rest of her dialogue isn't. So she obviously was using, like, a stronger Scottish accent for that line. Which wouldn't necessarily be seen as suspicious. Probably for the Coventrys, they would think, like, okay, her original accent was stronger, more Scottish. But as she's been like working as a governess, she's trained that out of her voice. But you know, like when you're tired or drunk or just fainted or whatever, and your natural accent comes out. So, but yeah, interesting that she didn't use any French around them, but she does seem to use little phrases when she's just talking to herself. I think it's interesting, yeah. Talking about you, streamer. Hi, Nexus. Oh, she's back. I'm so happy to see y'all. It's good to see you as well, Nexus. Thank you all for being a great space and people. You have no idea how impactful it is to many of us. There are some awesome people here, right? It's very good to see you, Nexus. You're liking it? Should we read another chapter? I wanted to check in with you guys and make sure that you were not hating it. Where am I from? I am from Canada. Alright, let's try another chapter. There's only 9 chapters in this book, so it's not super long. So, alright. Chapter 2. A Good Beginning. Only the housemaids were astir when Miss Muir left her room next morning and quietly found her way into the garden. As she walked, apparently intent upon the flowers, her quick eye scrutinized the fine old house and its picturesque surroundings. Lucia's girlfriend. I don't know if I should be pronouncing her name Lucia or Lucia. Probably Lucia, right? Like if it's spelt Lucia, but it's in England, so probably it would be Lucia, right? Okay, Sean. The fine old house and its picturesque surroundings. Not bad, she said to herself, adding as she passed into the adjoining park. But the other may be better, and I will have the best. Lucia? I don't know if you're fucking with me. That can't be right. Yeah, Lucia, I'm thinking. Lucia is actually common in Greece. Interesting. And Lucia would be like Italian, right? But I'm guessing in England it would be Lucia, I think. Not Cuccia. No, Fitch, no. Walking rapidly, she came out at length upon the wide green lawn which lay before the ancient hall where Sir John Coventry lived in solitary splendor. Okay, the father of the Coventry family just lives apart from his family and wife in another building on his estate. A stately old place, rich in oaks, well-kept shrubberies, gay gardens, sunny terraces, carved gables, spacious rooms, liveried servants, and every luxury befitting the ancestral home of a rich and honorable race. Miss Muir's eyes brightened as she looked. Her step grew firmer, her carriage prouder, and a smile broke over her face, the smile of one well pleased at the prospect of the success of some cherished hope. Suddenly, her whole air changed. She pushed back her hat, clasped her hands loosely in front of her, and seemed absorbed in girlish admiration of the fair scene that could not fail to charm any beauty-loving eye. The cause of this rapid change soon appeared. A hale, handsome man between 50 and 60 came through the little gate leading to the park, and, seeing the young stranger, paused to examine her. He had only time for a glance, however. She seemed conscious of his presence in a moment, turned with a startled look, uttered an exclamation of surprise, and looked as if hesitating whether to speak or run away. Gallant Sir John took off his hat and said, with the old-fashioned courtesy which became him well, "I beg your pardon for disturbing you, young lady. Allow me to atone for it by inviting you to walk where you will, and gather what flowers you like. I see you love them, so pray make free with those about you." With a charming air of maidenly timidity and artlessness, Miss Muir replied, "Oh, thank you, sir, but it is I who should ask pardon for trespassing. I never should have dared it had I not known that Sir John was absent. I always wanted to see this fine old place, and ran over the first thing to satisfy myself." "And are you satisfied?" he asked with a smile. "More than satisfied. I'm charmed, for it is the most beautiful spot I ever saw, and I've seen many famous seats, both at home and abroad," she answered enthusiastically. "The hall is much flattered, and so would its master be if he heard you," began the gentleman with an odd expression. "Oh, I should not praise it to him, at least not as freely as I have to you, sir," said the girl, with eyes still turned away. "Why not?" asked her companion, looking much amused. "I should be afraid. Not that I dread Sir John, but I've heard so many beautiful and noble things about him, and respect him so highly, that I should not dare to say much, lest he should see how I admire and what, young lady? Finish, if you please." "I was going to say, love him. Well, I will say it, for he is an old man, and one cannot help loving virtue and bravery." Oh, this girl is laying it on thick. You guys, so this is all an act. This is such an act. She knows that is Sir John. She knew he was coming. She's told, this is all acting. Oh my god. Miss Muir looked very earnest and pretty as she spoke, standing there with the sunshine glinting on her yellow hair, delicate face, and downcast eyes. Sir John was not a vain man, but he found it pleasant to hear himself commended by this unknown girl, and felt redoubled curiosity to learn who she was. Too well-bred to ask, or to abash her by avowing what she seemed unconscious of, he he left both discoveries to chance. And when she turned, as if to retrace her steps, he offered her the handful of hothouse flowers which he held, saying, with a gallant bow, "In Sir John's name, let me give you my little nosegay, with thanks for your good opinion, which, I assure you, is not entirely deserved, for I know him well." Miss Muir looked up quickly, eyed him an instant, then dropped her eyes and, coloring deeply, stammered out, "I did not know. I beg your pardon. You are too kind, Sir John." He laughed like a boy, asking mischievously, "Why call me Sir John? How do you know that I am not the gardener or the butler?" "I did not see your face before, and no one but yourself would say that any praise was undeserved," murmured Miss Muir, still overcome with girlish confusion. Well, we will let that pass, and the next time you come we will be properly introduced. Bella always brings her friends to the hall, for I am fond of young people." "I am not a friend. I am only Miss Coventry's governess." And Miss Muir dropped a meek curtsy. A slight change passed over Sir John's manner. Few would have perceived it, but Miss Muir felt it at once, and bit her lips with an angry feeling at her heart. With a curious air of pride mingled with respect, she accepted the still offered bouquet, returned Sir John's parting bow, and tripped away, leaving the old gentleman to wonder where Mrs. Coventry found such a piquant little governess. "That is done very well for a beginning," she said to herself as she approached the house. "Oh, she's a piece of work. She's a piece of work. Bye, Rahul." Oh my goodness. I like my ladies like I like my mayo, laying it on thick. Yeah. Yep. She seems to be a gold digger. She might be. She did make a comment about, like... Wait, what was the wording? Like, wanting the... top or the... What was the wording? Oh! She goes into the park, she says, she's looking around, she says, "Not bad, but the other may be better, and I will have the best." Now, she's talking about the scenery, the houses, but I don't know. I don't know if it makes sense for her necessarily to go after Sir John. I mean, certainly, if she's just wanting to be a mistress, he lives apart from his family in a separate house. Like, obviously, that doesn't seem like a very romantic marriage, right? Maybe she's just trying to be a mistress? I don't know. Mistresses of, like, well-to-do gentlemen could actually, like, set themselves up pretty well, but it's not a very stable life, right? Because if they change their mind, you're SOL. But anyway, I don't know. I don't really know what her goal is yet. Wait. Okay. In a green paddock. Wait, I am back at my house. Yeah. I've been back for a few days. Yeah. But I will be out of town again, like in a week or two. Anyway. In a green paddock close by, fed a fine horse. Here we fucking go. Let's go. Okay. Who lifted up his head and eyed her inquiringly, like one who expected a greeting. Following a sudden impulse, she entered the paddock and, pulling a handful of clover, invited the creature to come and eat. This was evidently a new proceeding on the part of a lady, and the horse careered about as if bent on frightening the newcomer away. "I see," she said aloud, laughing to herself. "I am not your master, and you rebel. Nevertheless, I'll conquer you, my fine brute." Seating herself in the grass, she began to pull daisies, singing idly the while, as if unconscious of the spirited prancings of the horse. Presently, he drew nearer, sniffing curiously and eyeing her with surprise. She took no notice, but plaited the daisies and sang on, as if he was not there. This seemed to pique the petted creature, for slowly approaching, he came at length so close that he could smell her little foot and nibble at her dress. Got a little foot sniffer going on. What did think you think the horse summer? Let's buckle the story right. Okay. Then she offered the clover, uttering caressing words and making soothing sounds, till by degrees and with much coquetting, the horse permitted her to stroke his glossy neck and smooth his mane. It was a pretty sight, the slender figure in the grass, the high-spirited horse bending his proud head to her hand. Edward Coventry, who had watched the scene, found it impossible to restrain himself any longer, and, leaping the wall, came to join the group, saying, with mingled admiration and wonder in countenance and voice, "Good morning, Miss Muir. If I had not seen your skill and courage proved before my eyes, I should be alarmed for your safety. Hector is a wild, wayward beast, and has damaged more than one groom who tried to conquer him." "Good morning, Mr. Coventry. Oh, don't tell tales of this noble creature, who has not deceived my faith in him. Your grooms did not know how to win his heart, and so subdue his spirit without breaking it." Miss Muir rose as she spoke, and stood with her hand on Hector's neck, while he ate the grass which she had gathered in the skirt of her dress. "You have the secret, and Hector is your subject now, though heretofore he has rejected all friends but his master. Will you give him his morning feast? I always bring him bread and play with him before breakfast." "Then you are not jealous?" And she looked up at him with eyes so bright and beautiful in expression that the young man wondered he had not observed them before. "Not I. Pet him as much as you will. It will do him good. He's a solitary fellow, for he scorns his own kind and lives alone. Like his master," he added, half to himself. "Alone, with such a happy home, Mr. Coventry." And a softly compassionate glance stole from the bright eye. That was an ungrateful speech, and I retract it for Bella's sake. Younger sons have no position, but such as they can make for themselves, you know, and I've had no chance yet." "Younger sons? I thought... I beg pardon." And Miss Muir paused, as if remembering that she had no right to question. Edward smiled and answered frankly, "Nay, don't mind me. You thought I was the heir, perhaps. Whom did you take my brother for last night?" "For some guest who admired Miss Beaufort. I did not hear his name, nor observe him enough to discover who he was. I saw only your kind mother, your charming little sister, and—" She stopped there with a half-shy, half-grateful look at the young man, which finished the sentence better than any words. He was still a boy, in spite of his 21 years, and a little color came into his brown cheek as the eloquent eyes met his and fell before them. "Oh, first she's flirting with the dad, and now with the younger brother. Oh, she's making the rounds." Yes. Oh, Bella is a capital girl, and one can't help loving her. I know you'll get her on, for, really, she's the most delightful little dunce. My mother's ill health and Bella's devotion to her have prevented our attending to her education before. Next winter, when we go to town, she is to come out, and must be prepared for that great event, you know," he said, choosing a safe subject. "Oh, I shall do my best. And that reminds me that I should report myself to her instead of enjoying myself here. When one has been ill and shut up for a long time, the country is so lovely one is apt to forget duty for pleasure. Please remind me if I am negligent, Mr. Coventry. Oh, that name belongs to Gerald. I'm only Mr. Ned here, he said, as they walked toward the house, while Hector followed them to the wall and sent a sonorous farewell after them. Bella came running to meet them and greeted Miss Muir as if she had made up her mind to like her heartily. "Oh, what a lovely bouquet you've got! I can never arrange flowers prettily, which vexes me, for Mamma is so fond of them and cannot go out herself. Oh, you have charming taste," she said, examining the graceful posy which Miss Muir had much improved by adding feathery grasses, delicate ferns, and fragrant wild flowers to Sir John's exotics. Putting them into Bella's hand, she said, in a winning way, "Take them to your mother, then, and ask her if I may have the pleasure of making her a daily nosegay, for I should find real delight in doing it, if it would please her." "Oh, how kind you are! Of course it would please her. I'll take them to her while the dew is still on them." And away flew Bella, eager to give both the flowers and the pretty message to the poor invalid. In Brazil, people have a habit of saying that all red-headed women are somewhat possessed. Do I agree with that? Possessed by what? By wit? By passion? By intellect? By a flair for the dramatic? Yes, it's true, I can't lie. Edward stopped to speak to the gardener, and Miss Muir went up the steps alone. The long hall was lined with portraits, and pacing slowly down it, she examined them with interest. One caught her eye, and pausing before it, she scrutinized it carefully. A young, beautiful, but very haughty female face. Miss Muir suspected at once who it was, and gave a decided nod, as if she saw and caught at some unexpected chance. A soft rustle behind her made her look around, and seeing Lucia, she bowed, half turned as if for another glance at the picture, and said, as if involuntarily, "How beautiful it is! May I ask if it is an ancestor, Miss Beaufort?" "It is the likeness of my mother," was the reply, given with a softened voice and eyes that looked up tenderly. "I might have known from the resemblance, but I scarcely saw you last night. Excuse my freedom, but Lady Sydney treated me as a friend, and I forget my position. Allow me." As she spoke, Miss Muir stooped to return the handkerchief which had fallen from Lucia's hand, and did so with a humble mien which touched the other's heart, for though a proud, it was also a very generous one. "Aw, Fidge. Yeah, feel free to go to bed whenever you need to. Thanks for hanging out, though, and for all your help. I hope you sleep well." "Thank you. Are you better this morning?" she said graciously, and having received an affirmative reply, she added, as she walked on, "I will show you to the breakfast room, as Bella is not here. It is a very informal meal with us, for my aunt is never down. My cousins are very irregular in their hours. You can always have yours when you like, without waiting for us, if you are an early riser." Bella and Edward appeared before the others were seated, and Miss Muir quietly ate her breakfast, feeling well satisfied with her hour's work. Ned recounted her exploit with Hector, Bella delivered her mother's thanks for the flowers, and Lucia more than once recalled, with pardonable vanity, that the governess had compared her to her lovely mother, expressing by a look as much admiration for the living likeness as for the painted one. All kindly did their best to make the pale girl feel at home, and their cordial manner seemed to warm and draw her out, for soon she put off her sad, meek air and entertained them with gay anecdotes of her life in Paris, her travels in Russia when governess, and Prince Jermadov's family, and all manner of witty stories that kept them interested and merry long after the meal was over. In the middle of an absorbing adventure, Coventry came in, nodded lazily, lifted his brows as if surprised at seeing the governess there, and began his breakfast as if the ennui of another day had already taken possession of him. Miss Muir stopped short, and no entreaties could induce her to go on. Another time I will finish it, if you like. Now, Miss Bella and I should be at our books. And she left the room, followed by her pupil, taking no notice of the young master of the house beyond a graceful bow in answer to his careless nod. Ugh, merciful creature. She goes when I come, and does not make life unendurable by moping about before my eyes. Does she belong to the moral, the melancholy, the romantic, or the dashing class, Ned? Said Gerald, lounging over his coffee as he did over everything he attempted. Oh, to none of them. She's a capital little woman. I wish you had seen her tame Hector this morning. And Edward repeated his story. Oh, Parisia, thank you for the lurk. Not a bad move on her part, said Coventry in reply. She must be an observing as well as an energetic young person to discover your chief weakness and attack it so soon. First, tame the horse, and then the master. It will be amusing to watch the game, only I shall be under the painful necessity of checkmating you both, if it gets serious. Oh, he sees through her a little bit, eh? You needn't exert yourself, old fellow, on my account. If I was not above thinking ill of an inoffensive girl, I should say you were the prize best worth winning, and advise you to take care of your own heart, if you've got one, which I rather doubt. Well, I often doubted myself, but I fancy the little Scotchwoman will not be able to satisfy either of us upon that point. How does your highness like her? Asked Coventry of his cousin, which sat near him. Better than I thought I should. She is well-bred, unassuming, and very entertaining when she likes. She has told us some of the wittiest stories I've heard for a long time. Didn't her laughter wake you? Replied Lucia. Yes. Now, atone for it by amusing me with a repetition of these witty tales. That is impossible. Her accent and manner are half the charm, said Ned. I wish you had kept away 10 minutes longer, for your appearance spoiled the best story of all. Why didn't she go on? Asked Coventry, with a ray of curiosity. You forget that she overheard us last night, and must feel that you consider her a bore. She has pride, and no woman forgets speeches like those you made, answered Lucia. Or forgives them either, I believe. Well, I must be resigned to languish under her displeasure, then. On Sydney's account, I take a slight interest in her. Not that I expect to learn anything from her, for a woman with a mouth like that never confides or confesses anything. But I have a fancy to see what captivated him, for captivated he was, beyond a doubt, by no lady whom he met in society. Did you ever hear anything of it, Ned? Asked Gerald. I'm not fond of scandal or gossip, and never listened to either. With which remark Edward left the room. Daphne, thank you for the follow. Welcome in. Welcome. Lucia was called out by the housekeeper a moment after, and Coventry left to the society most wearisome to him, namely, his own. As he entered, he had caught a part of the story which Miss Muir had been telling, and it had excited his curiosity so much that he found himself wondering what the end could be, and wishing that he might hear it. What the deuce did she run away for when I came in? He thought. Well, if she is amusing, she must make herself useful, for it's intensely dull, I own, here, in spite of Lucia. Hey, what's that? It was a rich, sweet voice, singing a brilliant Italian air, and singing it with an expression that made the music doubly delicious. Stepping out at the French window, Coventry strolled along the sunny terrace, enjoying the song with the relish of a connoisseur. Others followed, and still he walked and listened, forgetful of weariness or tune. As one exquisite air ended, he involuntarily applauded. Miss Muir's face appeared for an instant, then vanished, and no more music followed, though Coventry lingered, hoping to hear the voice again. For music was the one thing of which he never wearied, and neither Lucia nor Bella possessed skill enough to charm him. For an hour he loitered on the terrace or the lawn, basking in the sunshine, too indolent to seek occupation or society.
I beg your pardon, I'm reading.
Hi, sorry. Hello. Too indolent to seek occupation or society. At length Bella came out, hat in hand, and nearly stumbled over her brother, who lay on the grass. You lazy man, have you been dawdling here all this time? She said, looking down at him. No, I've been very busy. Come and tell me how you've got on with the little dragon. Can't stop. She bade me take a run after my French, so that I might be ready for my drawing. And so I must. I was too warm to run. Sit down and amuse your deserted brother, who has had no society but bees and lizards for an hour. He drew her down as he spoke, and Bella obeyed, for in spite of his indolence, he was one to whom all submitted without dreaming of refusal. Now, what have you been doing? Muddling your poor little brains with all manner of elegant rubbish? No, I've been enjoying myself immensely. Oh, Jean is so interesting, so kind and clever. She didn't bore me with stupid grammar, but just talked to me in such pretty French that I got on capitally, and like it as I never expected to, after Lucia's dull way of teaching it. What did you talk about? Oh, all manner of things. She asked questions, and I answered, and she corrected me. Questions about our affairs, I suppose. Not one. She don't care two sous for us or our affairs. I thought she might like to know what sort of people we were, so I told her about Papa's sudden death, Uncle John, and you and Ned. But in the midst of it, she said in her quiet way, "You are getting too confidential, my dear. It is not best to talk too freely of one's affairs to strangers. Let us speak of something else." Oh, okay, so the older man is not their father. It's their uncle? Their father died. Okay, so that's why he's living in a separate house. Okay. What were you talking of when she said that, Belle? You. Well then, no wonder she was bored. She was tired of my chatter and didn't hear half of what I said, for she was busy sketching something for me to copy, and thinking of something more interesting than the Coventrys. How do you know? By the expression of her face. Did you like her music, Gerald? Yes. Was she angry when I clapped? Oh, she looked surprised, then rather proud, and shut the piano at once, though I begged her to go on. Isn't Jean a pretty name? Not bad. But why don't you call her Miss Muir? Oh, she begged me not. She hates it and loves to be called Jean alone. I've imagined such a nice little romance about her, and someday I shall tell her, for I'm sure she has had a love trouble. Don't get such nonsense into your head. Follow Miss Muir's well-bred example, and don't be curious about other people's affairs. Ask her to sing tonight. It amuses me. She won't come down, I think. We've planned to read and work in my boudoir, which is to be our study now. Mamma will stay in her room, so you and Lucia can have the drawing room all to yourselves. Thank you. What will Ned do? He will amuse Mamma, he says. Dear old Ned. I wish you'd stir about and get him his commission. He's so impatient to be doing something, and yet so proud he won't ask again, after you've neglected it so many times and refused Uncle's help. I'll attend to it very soon. Don't worry me, child. You will do very well for a time, quietly, here with us. You always say that. Yet you know he chafes and is unhappy at being dependent on you. Mamma and I don't mind, but he is a man, and it frets him. He said he'd take matters into his own hands soon, and then you may be sorry you were so slow in helping him. Anonymous, thank you for the gift sub to Gerald of Rivia. Thank you. Or Gerald. Damn it! I was trying so hard to say Gerald instead of Gerald that then when I was supposed to say Gerald, I said Gerald. Good night, Leonardo. Miss Muir is looking out the window. You better go and take your run, else she will scold.
Oh, not she. I'm not a bit afraid of her. She's so gentle and sweet. I'm fond of her already. You'll get as brown as Ned lying here in the sun. By the way, Miss Muir agrees with me in thinking him handsomer than you.
I admire her taste and quite agree with her.
She said he was manly, and that was more attractive than beauty in a man. She does express things so nicely. Now I'm off. And away danced Bella, humming the burden of Miss Muir's street song.
Of Miss Muir's sweetest song. Anonymous, thank you for the gift sub to Gerald. Actually, Gerald. Yeah, the Temu brand Witcher. Yeah. Energy is more attractive than beauty in a man. Oh, she's right. How the juice can a man be energetic with nothing to expend his energies on? Mused Coventry, with his hat over his eyes. Gerald, she didn't actually say energy is more attractive than beauty. She said manliness is more attractive than beauty in a man. You're interpreting manliness as energy, Gerald. We have Geralt of Rivia at home. Exactly. A few moments later, the sweep of a dress caught his ear. Without stirring, a sidelong glance showed him Miss Muir coming across the terrace, as if to join Bella. Hi, Moonstar. Good to see you. How are you? 2 stone steps led down to the lawn. He lay near them, and Miss Muir did not see him till close upon him. She started and slipped on the last step, recovered herself, and glided on with a glance of unmistakable contempt as she passed the recumbent figure of the apparent sleeper. Several things in Bella's report had nettled him, but this look made him angry, though he would not own it even to himself.
Gerald, come here quick,
presently called Bella from the rustic seat where she stood beside her governess, who sat with her hand over her face, as if in pain. Gathering himself up, Coventry slowly obeyed, but involuntarily quickened his pace as he heard Miss Muir say, "Oh, don't call him. He can do nothing." For the emphasis on the word he was very significant. "What is it, Bella?" he asked, looking rather wider awake than usual.
You startled Miss Muir and made her turn her ankle. Now help her to the house, for she is in great pain. And don't lie there any more to frighten people like a snake in the grass, said his sister petulantly.
"I beg your pardon. Will you allow me?" And Coventry offered his arm. Miss Muir looked up with the expression which annoyed him and answered coldly, "Thank you. Miss Bella will do as well." Permit me to doubt that. And with a gesture too decided to be resisted, Coventry drew her arm through his and led her into the house. She submitted quietly and said the pain would soon be over, and when settled on the couch in Bella's room, dismissed him with the briefest thanks. Considering the unwanted exertion he had made, he thought she might have been a little more grateful, and went away to Lucia, who always brightened when he came. Anonymous, thank you for the gift subs to Gerald, and Smella. thank you. Oh, how is the connection? Are we having... We're having some drop frames, I think. How's the connection looking? Over on YouTube. It looked like it was buffering a little bit. And, oh, it briefly said that some frames were dropped, but now it seems to be okay. Okay. Good night, Leonardo. Oh, thank you, Nananon. Thank you. Yeah, there were some drop frames, but it seems to be okay now. Alright. Man, she is playing them all so well. Mimi, my voice is tingling. I'm so glad to hear that, Mimi. Welcome in. Hello, hello. Because, okay, so, like, she's acting differently to all of them, and it's like she knows that the way to move forward with Gerald is to be kind of dismissive, right? I mean, this is someone who probably has people fawning over him all the time. He's the golden child. He's the heir. You know, Lucia's always fawning over him. Like, and for her to just be a little detached from him, especially when others seem to like him so, or like her so much, piquing his curiosity. She is playing him. Okay. All right. No more was seen of Miss Muir till tea time. For now, while the family were in retirement, they dined early and saw no company. The governess had excused herself at dinner, but came down in the evening, a little paler than usual, and with a slight limp in her gait. Sir John was there, talking with his nephew, and they merely acknowledged her presence by the sort of bow which gentlemen bestow on governesses. As she slowly made her way to her place behind the urn, Coventry said to his brother, "Take her a footstool and ask her how she is, Ned." Then, as if necessary to account for his politeness to his uncle, he explained how he was the cause of the accident. Yes, I understand. Rather a nice little person, I fancy. Well, not exactly a beauty, but accomplished and well-bred, which is better for one of her class. "Some tea, Sir John," said a soft voice at his elbow, and there was Miss Muir, offering cups to the gentleman. Thank you, said Sir John, sincerely hoping she had overheard him. "Ah, thank you, Mimi. And wolves, welcome in, wolves. Thank you for the follow." As Coventry took his, he said graciously, "You're very forgiving, Miss Muir, to wait upon me after I have caused you so much pain." "It is my duty, sir," was her reply, in a tone which plainly said, "But not my pleasure." And she returned to her place to smile and chat and be charming with Bella and her brother. Lucia, hovering near her uncle and Gerald, kept them to herself, but was disturbed to find that their eyes often wandered to the cheerful group about the table, and that their attention seemed distracted by the frequent bursts of laughter and fragments of animated conversation which reached them, in the midst of an account of a tragic affair which she endeavored to make as interesting and pathetic as possible. Sir John burst into a hearty laugh, which betrayed that he had been listening to a livelier story than her own. Much annoyed, she said hastily, "I knew it would be so. Bella has no idea of the proper manner in which to treat a governess. She and Ned will forget the difference of rank and spoil that person for her work. She is inclined to be presumptuous already, and if my aunt won't trouble herself to give Miss Muir a hint in time, I shall." "Wait till she's finished that story, I beg of you," said Coventry. for Sir John was already off. Koti Satan, I'm not sure if I'm saying your name right, but hello, welcome in. Well, if you find that nonsense so entertaining, why don't you follow Uncle's example? I don't need you. Thank you, I will. And Lucia was deserted. Kabuya, hello, hello. But Miss Muir had ended, and, beckoning to Bella, left the room, as if quite unconscious of the honor conferred upon her, or the dullness she left behind her. Ned went up to his mother. Gerald returned to make his peace with Lucia, and, bidding them good night, Sir John turned homeward. Strolling along the terrace, he came to the lighted window of Bella's study, and, wishing to say a word to her, he half pushed aside the curtain and looked in. A pleasant little scene. Bella working busily, and near her, in a low chair, with the light falling on her fair hair and delicate profile, sat Miss Muir, reading aloud. Novels, thought Sir John, and smiled at them for a pair of romantic girls. But, pausing to listen a moment before he spoke, he found it was no novel, but history, read with a fluency which made every fact interesting, every sketch of character memorable by the dramatic effect given to it. Sir John was fond of history, and failing eyesight often curtailed his favorite amusement. He had tried readers, but none suited him, and he had given up the plan. Now, as he listened, he thought how pleasantly the smoothly flowing voice would while away his evenings, and he envied Bella her new acquisition. Soul Gravy, welcome in. Hello, hello. Yes, we are reading a book. We are. I read from public domain books 3 or 4 times a week, on both Twitch and here on YouTube. And I also do traditional ASMR. So you'll find that stuff you'll find the ASMR triggers over on Twitch, or I have a second YouTube channel for that. But yeah, we do lots of story time. Okay. A bell rang, and Bella sprang up, saying, "Wait for me a minute. I must run to Mamma, and then we will go on with this charming prince." Away she went, and Sir John was about to retire as quietly as he came, when Miss Muir's peculiar behavior arrested him for an instant. Ooh, let's see if she lets her guard down. Dropping the book, she threw her arms across the table, laid her head down upon them, and broke into a passion of tears, like one who could bear restraint no longer. Shocked and amazed, Sir John stole away, but all that night the kind-hearted gentleman puzzled his brains with conjectures about his niece's interesting young governess, quite unconscious that she intended he should do so. End of chapter. Ooh, she is so good at manipulating people. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so Alcott has decided to let us know in the first chapter that this woman is a fraud and is fooling them all. And that gives so much tension, like, as opposed to us not knowing what her deal is. This is a different kind of tension, right? We know. We don't know everything, but we know she's a fake. We know that she's playing people, right? And we just have to watch as the family get tricked and toyed with. You have to bail for now? Okay, Parisia, thank you for hanging out. Have a good night. We need to petition YouTube for more live chat features. Yeah, I know. I do appreciate those of you watching and chatting on YouTube, though. I really, really do. Okay, Taco Cat, thank you for the 100 biddies. Mimi, thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you. Yeah, I also, I'm gonna be real with you, life has thrown a lot of stuff on my lap, and that has put me a little behind in this endeavor, but I am also working on editing old reading VODs to get up onto the YouTube into new playlists, because I started streaming on YouTube in November, but I've been streaming on Twitch for like coming on 3.5 years. So we've read a lot of books over that time that are not up on YouTube. So missed your reading. Oh, I've missed reading to you guys. And it's only been like a week, I think. So, and that was like, we streamed during that time. We just weren't able to read during that time. That just felt like way too long. Yeah. Okay, so I'm trying to decide, because part of me wants to read the next chapter. I think I want to read the next chapter. It's just we have not been able to do very much reading. It will mean that we will not be able to do as much like ASMR triggers afterwards, but like, because we've been able to do a bit of that and not reading over the past week, I think I'd rather prioritize reading. And I'm really hooked on this. Moonstar, hello, hi. Wait, is this Moonstar from YouTube coming over to Twitch chat? Hello, hello. Okay, let's read one more chapter then tonight. Excellent. Okay. Chapter 3, Passion and Pique. This is, by the way, Pique, P-I-Q-U-E. Yeah. For several weeks, the most monotonous tranquility seemed to reign at Coventry House. And yet, unseen, unsuspected, a storm was gathering. The arrival of Miss Muir seemed to produce a change in everyone, though no one could have explained how or why. Nothing could be more unobtrusive and retiring than her manners. She was devoted to Bella, who soon adored her, and was only happy when in her society. She ministered in many ways to Mrs. Coventry's comfort, and that lady declared there never was such a nurse. Oh, Nameless King, thank you for the follow. Oh, well, I'm glad you could join us, Moonstar. She amused, interested, and won Edward with her wit and womanly sympathy. She made Lucia respect and envy her for her accomplishments, and piqued indolent Gerald by her persistent avoidance of him, while Sir John was charmed with her respectful deference and the graceful little attentions she paid him in a frank and artless way, very winning to the lonely old man. The very servants liked her, and instead of being what most governesses are, a forlorn creature hovering between superiors and inferiors, Jean Muir was the life of the house and the friend of all but two. Lucia disliked her, and Coventry distrusted her. Neither could exactly say why, and neither owned the feeling, even to themselves. Both watched her covertly, yet found no shortcoming anywhere. Meek, modest, faithful, and invariably sweet-tempered, they could complain of nothing, and wondered at their own doubts, though they could not banish them. It soon came to pass. Sorry, guys. It soon came to pass that the family was divided, or rather that two members were left very much to themselves. Pleading timidity, Jean Muir kept much in Bella's study, and soon made it such a pleasant little nook that Ned and his mother, and often Sir John, came in to enjoy the music, reading, or cheerful chat, which made the evenings so gay. Toasty!
Toasty, thank you so much for the tier 3 sub. What the heck, girl? Oh my goodness. Yes, absolutely. Feel free to scarper and take care of your brain bits. Toasty, I miss you, girl. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You are so sweet. Everyone go follow Toasty. She is beginning to stream again. She's beginning to stream again, and you want to have a follow dropped so that you will be alerted when she does stream. Yay! Ugh. Okay. I hope you're doing well. I hope you're doing well. Ugh. My lips get so chapped when I read. Also, oh, never mind. I'm gonna message you later. I'm gonna message you later. I hope you're doing well. Alright, let me get some lip balm on. Ugh. It'll be up and up from here? Heck yeah! Like adding more time onto your streams? Heck yeah. Banana. That's wonderful to hear, Toasty. Okay. Lucia at first was only too glad to have her cousin to herself. But he too lazy to care what went on about him. But presently, he wearied of her society. For she was not a brilliant girl, and possessed few of those winning arts which charm a man and steal into his heart. Rumors of the merrymakings that went on reached him, and made him curious to share them. Echoes of fine music went sounding through the house as he lounged about the empty drawing room, and peals of laughter reached him while listening to Lucia's grave discourse. She soon discovered that her society had lost its charm, and the more eagerly she tried to please him, the more signally she failed. And before long, Coventry fell into a habit of strolling out upon the terrace of an evening and amusing himself by passing and repassing the window of Bella's room, catching glimpses of what was going on and reporting the result of his observations to Lucia, who was too proud to ask admission to the happy circle or to seem to desire it. "I shall go to London tomorrow, Lucia," Gerald said one evening as he came back from what he called a survey, looking very much annoyed. "To London?" exclaimed his cousin, surprised. "Yes, I must bestir myself and get Ned his commission, or it will be all over with him." "How do you mean?" He is falling in love as fast as it is possible for a boy to do it. That girl has bewitched him, and he will make a fool of himself very soon, unless I put a stop to it. I was afraid she would attempt a flirtation. These persons always do. They are such a mischief-making race. But you are wrong, as far as little Muir is concerned. She does not flirt, and Ned has too much sense and spirit to be caught by a silly coquette. She treats him like an elder sister, and mingles the most attractive friendliness with a quiet dignity that captivates the boy. I've been watching them, and there he is, devouring her with his eyes, while she reads a fascinating novel in the most fascinating style. Bella and Mamma are absorbed in the tale and see nothing, but Ned makes himself the hero, Miss Muir the heroine, and lives the love scene with all the ardor of a man whose heart has just waked up. Poor lad. Poor lad." Lucia looked at her cousin, amazed by the energy with which he spoke, the anxiety in his usually listless face. The change became him, for it showed what he might be, making one regret still more what he was. Before she could speak, he was gone again, to return presently, laughing, yet looking a little angry. "What now?" she asked. "Listeners never hear any good of themselves" is the truest of proverbs. I stopped a moment to look at Ned, and heard the following flattering remarks.
Mamma's gone, and Ned was asking little Muir to sing that delicious barcarolle she gave us the other evening. Not now, not here, she said. Oh, why not? You sang it in the drawing room readily enough, said Ned imploringly. That is a very different thing, and she looked at him with a little shake of the head, for he was folding his hands and doing the passionate pathetic. Well, come here and sing it. Come and sing it there, then, said innocent Bella. Gerald likes your voice so much and complains that you will never sing to him. He never asks me, said Muir with an odd smile. Gerald is, recounting all of this, which is why I'm doing it all in Gerald's voice. He is too lazy, but he wants to hear you. When he asks me, I will sing, if I feel like it. And she shrugged her shoulders with a provoking gesture of indifference. Oh, but it amuses him, and he gets so bored down here, began stupid little Bella. Oh, don't be shy or proud, Jean, but come and entertain the poor old fellow. No, thank you. I engaged to teach Miss Coventry, not to amuse Mr. Coventry, was all the answer she got. Will you amuse him, Ned? Why not Gerald? Are you afraid of him? Asked Bella. And Miss Muir laughed, such a scornful laugh, and said in that peculiar tone of hers, I cannot fancy anyone being afraid of your elder brother. Well, I am very often, and so would you be if you ever saw him angry. And Bella looked as if I'd beaten her. Oh, does he ever wake up enough to be angry? Asked that girl, with an air of surprise. Well, here, Ned broke into a fit of laughter, and they're at it now, I fancy by the sound. Well, their foolish gossip is not worth getting excited about, but I certainly would not send Ned away. Well, it's no use trying to get rid of that girl, as you say, for my aunt is as deluded about her as Ned and Bella, and she really does get the child along splendidly. Dispatch Ned, and then she could do no harm, said Lucia, watching Coventry's altered face as he stood in the moonlight, just outside the window where she sat. Have you no fears for me? He asked, smiling as if ashamed at his momentary petulance. No? Have you for yourself? And a shade of anxiety passed over her face. I defy the Scotch witch to enchant me, except with her music, he added, moving down the terrace again, for Jean was singing like a nightingale. Welcome in, foot job. Not the old FJ. Welcome in. Johnny, thank you for the 15 stream streak. Alright, let's see what happens. Oh my god. Lemon Slut just gifted a year to Footjob. Okay, Footjob, I hope you like it here, because you just got 12 months of subs. So, I hope you're digging the vibe. Lemon Slut? Oh my god. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's incredibly generous. Why? You know what? I trust the slut to have a good read on people. We need more foot jobs around these parts. Okay, well. we need a cheeky little foot job in the midst. Shay's like, what? What? Hi Todd. Hello, scary one? You know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. I'm fine with that. Is anyone asleep? There might be some people asleep. I've got more people watching over on Twitch, and probably some of them are asleep. Alright. Alright. Let's see. As the song ended, he put aside the curtain and said abruptly, "Has anyone any commands for London? I'm going there tomorrow." "Oh, a pleasant trip to you," said Ned carelessly, though usually his brother's movements interested him extremely. I want quantities of things, but I must ask Mamma first." And Bella began to make a list. "May I trouble you with a letter, Mr. Coventry?" Jean Muir turned around on the music stool and looked at him with the cold, keen glance which always puzzled him. He bowed, saying as if to them all, "I shall be off the..." Sorry, it skipped several pages at once. He bowed, saying as if to them all, "I shall be off by the early train, so you must give me your orders tonight." "Then come away, Ned, and leave Jean to write her letter." And Bella took her reluctant brother from the room. Is it weird that I'm reading while listening to Fella read? No, that's why we always link the book in the chat, in case people want to read along on the page as well. Not weird at all. Oh, you're reading a different book. Okay, well that's... Are you able to, like, absorb both stories? I do see the hearts, Todd. Thank you. I do see those hearts coming up. Okay. "I will give you the letter in the morning," said Miss Muir, with a curious quiver in her voice, and the look of one who forcibly suppressed some strong emotion. "As you please." And Coventry went back to Lucia, wondering who Miss Muir was going to write to. He said nothing to his brother of the purpose which took him to town, lest a word should produce the catastrophe which he hoped to prevent. And Ned, who now lived in a sort of dream, seemed to forget Gerald's existence altogether. With unwonted energy, Coventry was astir 7 next morning. Lucia gave him his breakfast, and as he left the room to order the carriage, Miss Muir came gliding downstairs, very pale and heavy-eyed, with a sleepless, tearful night, he thought, and putting a delicate little letter into his hand, said, hurriedly, "Please leave this at Lady Sydney's, and if you see her, say, 'I have remembered.'" Her peculiar manner and peculiar message struck him. His eye involuntarily glanced at the address of the letter and read young Sydney's name. Then, conscious of his mistake, he thrust it into his pocket with a hasty "good morning," and left Miss Muir standing, with one hand pressed on her heart, the other half extended, as if to recall the letter. "Hi, Nat. Hi, good to see you. You're back home from San Diego. Heck yeah. Hi, Calfie. Hi. Well, I hope you have a good day at work. Oh my god, you have to be up in 90 minutes. Yoinks. Sleep well for 90 minutes. My room is scary. It's just full of books. Thanks, Nat. All the way to London, Coventry found it impossible to forget the almost tragical expression of the girl's face, and it haunted him through the bustle of 2 busy days. Ned's affair was put in the way of being speedily accomplished. Bella's commissions were executed. His mother's pet delicacies provided for her, and a gift for Lucia, whom the family had given him for his future mate, as he was too lazy to choose for himself. Bro. This dude is so lazy. They're like, well, you can marry your cousin then. And he's like, yeah, alright. She's okay. Oh my god. Jean Muir's letter he had not delivered, for Lady Sydney was in the country and her townhouse closed. curious to see how she would receive his tidings, he went quietly in on his arrival at home. Everyone had dispersed to dress for dinner, except Miss Muir, who was in the garden, the servant said. "Very well, I've a message for her." And turning, the young master, as they called him, went to seek her. In a remote corner he saw her sitting alone, buried in thought. As his step roused her, a look of surprise, followed by one of satisfaction, passed over her face, and, rising, she beckoned to him with an almost eager gesture. Much amazed, he went to her and offered the letter, saying kindly, "I regret that I could not deliver it. Lady Sydney is in the country, and I did not like to post it without your leave. Did I do right?"
"Quite right. Thank you very much. It is better so." And with an air of relief, she tore the letter to atoms and scattered them to the wind. More amazed than ever, the young man was about to leave her when she said, with a mixture of entreaty and command, "Please stay a moment. I want to speak to you." He paused, eyeing her with visible surprise, for a sudden color dyed her cheeks and her lips trembled. Only for a moment, then she was quite self-possessed again. Motioning him to the seat she had left, she remained standing while she said, in a low, rapid tone full of pain and decision, "Mr. Coventry, as the head of the house, I want to speak to you, rather than to your mother, of a most unhappy affair which has occurred during your absence. My month of probation ends today. Your mother wishes me to remain. I, too, wish it sincerely, for I am happy here. But I ought not. Read this and you will see why." She put a hastily written note into his hand and watched him intently while he read it. She saw him flush with anger, bite his lips, and knit his brows, then assume his haughtiest look as he lifted his eyes and said, in his most sarcastic tone, "Very well for a beginning. The boy has eloquence. Pity that it should be wasted. May I ask if you have replied to this rhapsody?" "I have." "And what follows? He begs you to fly with him, to share his fortunes, and be the good angel of his life. Of course you consent." There was no answer, for, standing erect before him, Miss Muir regarded him with an expression of proud patience, like one who expected reproaches, yet was too generous to resent them. Her manner had its effect. Dropping his bitter tone, Coventry asked briefly, "Why do you show me this? What can I do?" "I show it that you may see how much in earnest the boy is, and how open I desire to be. You can control, advise, and comfort your brother, and help me to see what is my duty." "You love him?" demanded Coventry bluntly. "No," was the quick, decided answer. "Then why make him love you?" I never tried to do it. Your sister will testify that I have endeavored to avoid him as I—" And he finished the sentence with an unconscious tone of pique, "as you have avoided me." She bowed silently, and he went on, "I will do you the justice to say that nothing could be more blameless than your conduct toward myself. But why allow Ned to haunt you evening after evening? What could you expect of a romantic boy who had nothing to do but lose his heart to the first attractive woman he met?" A momentary glisten shone in Jean Muir's steel-blue eyes as the last words left the young man's lips. But it was gone instantly, and her voice was full of reproach as she said, steadily, impulsively, if the romantic boy had been allowed to lead the life of a man, as he longed to do, he would have had no time to lose his heart to the first sorrowful girl whom he pitied. Mr. Coventry, the fault is yours. Do not blame your brother, but generously own your mistake and retrieve it in the speediest, kindest manner. For an instant, Gerald sat dumb. Never,
Since his father died, had anyone reproved him? Seldom in his life had he been blamed. It was a new experience, and the very novelty added to the effect. He saw his fault, regretted it, and admired the brave sincerity of the girl in telling him of it. But he did not know how to deal with the case, and was forced to confess not only past negligence, but present incapacity. He was as honorable as he was proud, and with an effort he said frankly, "You are right, Miss Muir. I am to blame. Yet, as soon as I saw the danger, I tried to avert it. My visit to town was on Ned's account. He will have his commission very soon, and then he will be sent out of harm's way. Can I do more?" "No, it is too late to send him away with a free and happy heart. He must bear his pain as he can, and it may help to make a man of him," she said, sadly. "He'll soon forget," began Coventry, who found the thought of gay Ned suffering an uncomfortable one. "Yes, thank heaven, that is possible. For men." Miss Muir pressed her hands together with a dark expression on her half-averted face. Something in her tone, her manner, touched Coventry. He fancied that some old wound bled, some bitter memory awoke at the approach of a new lover. He was young, heart-whole and romantic, under all his cool nonchalance of manner. This girl, who he fancied loved his friend and who was beloved by his brother, became an object of interest to him. He pitied her, desired to help her, and regretted his past distrust, as a chivalrous man always regrets injustice to a woman. She was happy here, poor homeless soul, and she should stay. Bella loved her, his mother took comfort in her, and when Ned was gone, no one's peace would be endangered by her winning ways, her rich accomplishments. These thoughts swept through his mind during a brief pause, and when he spoke, it was to say gently, "Miss Muir, I thank you for the frankness which must have been painful to you, and I will do my best to be worthy of the confidence which you repose in me. You were both discreet and kind to speak only to me. This thing would have troubled my mother extremely and have done no good. I shall see Ned, and try and repair my long neglect as promptly as possible. I know you will help me, and in return let me beg of you to remain, for he will soon be gone." She looked at him with eyes full of tears, and there was no coolness in the voice that answered softly, "You are too kind, but I had better go. It is not wise to stay." "Why not?" She colored beautifully, hesitated, then spoke out in the clear, steady voice which was her greatest charm. "If I had known there were sons in this family, I never should have come. Lady Sydney spoke only of your sister, and when I found two gentlemen, I was troubled because I am so unfortunate. Or rather, people are so kind as to like me more than I deserve. I thought I could stay a month at least, as your brother spoke of going away, and you were already affianced, but I'm not affianced." Why he said that, Coventry could not tell, but the words passed his lips hastily and could not be recalled. Jean Muir took the announcement oddly enough. She shrugged her shoulders with an air of extreme annoyance and said, almost rudely, "Then you should be. You will be soon. But that is nothing to me. Miss Beaufort wishes me gone, and I am too proud to remain and become the cause of disunion in a happy family. No, I will go, and go at once." She turned away impetuously, but Edward's arm detained her, and Edward's voice demanded, tenderly, Where will you go, my Jean? Adriano, hello. And Goodfellow, hi. Thank you for the lurk. I hope you're doing well also. Oh my god, so played. She's so good at this. Holy shit. Okay. But now Edward's here as well. The tender touch and name seemed to rob her of her courage and calmness. For leaning on her lover, she hid her face and sobbed audibly. So the younger brother has confessed his love to Jean and basically said that he wants to be with her and give her all his fortune and everything. But that does not seem to be her goal. The younger brother does not seem to be her goal. So she tells the older brother about it. And in doing so is winning him over, because that seems like an honest thing to do. And also he's kind of like fascinated by her in spite of himself. And she basically is saying, like, if I had known that there were two young gentlemen, I wouldn't have come to work here in the first place. She's basically saying, it's a bit problematic, but boys fall in love with me. That's kind of what she's saying, right? She's like, I've had this problem before, that young men just like fall in love with me, and that's not what I'm looking for. And she's like, basically, I would have left right away when I realized that there were two young men, but considering Edward was meant to be like leaving soon, and you, Gerald, are engaged, and he basically is like, I'm not engaged. Like, so unconsciously, which, like, it's a good thing Lucia's not around to hear that, because the way he, like, spat out the word, no, not me. I'm not engaged. Okay, Gerald. So she's talking to Gerald, but then Edward comes up and overhears part of it and is like, what, where are you gonna go? And now she's crying. Now don't make a scene, for heaven's sake, began Coventry impatiently, as his brother eyed him fiercely, divining at once what had passed, for his letter was still in Gerald's hand, and Jean's last words had reached her lover's ear. Who gave you the right to read that, and to interfere in my affairs? Demanded Edward hotly. Miss Muir, was the reply, as Coventry threw away the paper. And you add to the insult by ordering her out of the house, cried Ned with increasing wrath. On the contrary, I beg her to remain. The deuce you do! And why? Because she is useful and happy here, and I'm unwilling that your folly should rob her of a home which she likes. You are very thoughtful and devoted all at once, but I beg you will not trouble yourself. Jean's happiness and home will be my care now. My dear boy, to be reasonable. The thing is impossible. Miss Muir sees it herself. She came to tell me, to ask how best to arrange matters without troubling my mother. I've been to town to attend to your affairs, and you may be off now very soon. I have no heart, or I have no desire to go. Well, last month it was the wish of my heart. Now I'll accept nothing from you. And Edward turned moodily away from his brother. Hi, Livia. Hello. What folly. Ned, you must leave home. It is all arranged and cannot be given up now. A change is what you need, and it will make a man of you. We shall miss you, of course, but you will be where you'll see something of life, and that is better for you than getting into mischief here. Are you going away, Jean? Asked Edward, ignoring his brother entirely and bending over the girl, who still hid her face and wept. She did not speak, and Gerald answered for her. No, why should she if you are gone? Do you mean to stay? Asked the lover eagerly of Jean. I wish to remain, but... She paused and looked up. Her eyes went from one face to the other, and she added, decidedly, "Yes, I must go. It is not wise to stay, even when you are gone." Neither of the young men could have explained why that hurried glance affected them as it did, but each felt conscious of a willful desire to oppose the other. Edward suddenly felt that his brother loved Miss Muir and was bent on removing her from his way. Gerald had a vague idea that Miss Muir feared to remain on his account, and he longed to show her that he was quite safe. Each felt angry, and each showed it in a different way, one being violent, the other satirical. "You are right, Jean. This is not the place for you. You must let me see you in a safer home before I go," said Ned, significantly. "It strikes me that this will be a particularly safe home when your dangerous self is removed," began Coventry, with an aggravating smile of calm superiority. "And I think that I'd leave a more dangerous person than myself behind, as poor Lucia can testify. Be careful of what you say, Ned, or I shall be forced to remind you that I am master here. Leave Lucia's name out of this disagreeable affair, if you please." "You are master here, but not of me or my actions, and you have no right to expect obedience or respect, for you inspire neither. Jean, I ask you to go with me secretly. Now I ask you to openly share my fortune. In my brother's presence I ask, and will have an answer." He caught her hand impetuously, with a defiant look at Coventry, who still smiled as if at boys' play, though his eyes were kindling and his face changing with the still, white wrath, which is more terrible than any sudden outburst. Miss Muir looked frightened. She shrank away from her passionate young lover, cast an appealing glance at Gerald, and seemed as if she longed to claim his protection, yet dared not. "Speak!" cried Edward desperately. "Oh, don't look to him. Tell me truly, with your own lips. Do you, can you love me, Jean?" "I have told you once. Why pain me by forcing another hard reply?" she said pitifully, still shrinking from his grasp and seeming to appeal to his brother. "You wrote a few lines, but I'll not be satisfied with that. You shall answer. I've seen love in your eyes, heard it in your voice, and I know it is hidden in your heart. You fear to own it. Do not hesitate. No one can part us. Speak, Jean, and satisfy me." Drawing her hand decidedly away, she went a step nearer Coventry and answered, slowly, distinctly, though her lips trembled and she evidently dreaded the effect of her words. "I will speak, and speak truly. You have seen love in my face. It is in my heart, and I do not hesitate to own it, cruel as it is to force the truth from me. But this love is not for you. Are you satisfied?" He looked at her with a despairing glance and stretched his hand toward her beseechingly. She seemed to fear a blow, for suddenly she clung to Gerald with a faint cry. The act, the look of fear, the protecting gesture Coventry involuntarily made, were too much for Edward, already excited by conflicting passions. In a paroxysm of blind wrath, he caught up a large pruning knife left there by the gardener.
"I know, it's okay. It's all right."
He caught up a large pruning knife left there by the gardener, and would have dealt his brother a fatal blow had he not warded it off with his arm. "Damn, okay."
"Oh, no, it's okay. He didn't get him." Yeah.
Ma'am. The stroke fell, and another might have followed had not Miss Muir, with unexpected courage and strength, wrested the knife from Edward and flung it into the little pond nearby. Coventry dropped down upon the seat, for the blood poured from a deep wound in his arm, showing by its rapid flow that an artery had been severed. Oh, Jesus, what? This is crazy. You guys, are you gonna... Let me just give them a cookie, because they're...
Okay. You want a cookie? Cara? You want a cookie? Come here. Okay, cookie time. You guys, it's the climax of the scene.
Okay. Okay, he hit an artery with gardening shears? This is crazy. Okay. That an artery had been severed. Edward stood aghast, for with the blow his fury passed, leaving him overwhelmed with remorse and shame. Gerald looked up at him, smiled faintly, and said, with no sign of reproach or anger, "Never mind, Ned. Forgive and forget. Lend me a hand to the house and don't disturb anyone. Oh, it's not much, I dare say." But his lips whitened as he spoke, and his strength failed him. Edward sprang to support him, and Miss Muir, forgetting her terrors, proved herself a girl of uncommon skill and courage. "Quick, lay him down. Give me your handkerchief and bring some water," she said in a tone of quiet command. Poor Ned obeyed and watched her with breathless suspense while she tied the handkerchief tightly around the arm, thrust the handle of his riding whip underneath, and pressed it firmly above the severed artery to stop the dangerous flow of blood. "Dr. Scott is with your mother, I think. Go and bring him here," was the next order, and Edward darted away, thankful to do anything to ease the terror which possessed him. He was gone some minutes, and while they waited, Coventry watched the girl as she knelt beside him, bathing his face with one hand, while with the other she held the bandage firmly in its place. She was pale, but quite steady and self-possessed, and her eyes shone with a strange brilliancy as she looked down at him. Once, meeting his look of grateful wonder, she smiled a reassuring smile that made her lovely, and said in a soft, sweet tone never used to him before, "Be quiet. There is no danger. I will stay by you till help comes." Help did come speedily, and the doctor's first words were, "Who improvised that tourniquet?" "She did," murmured Coventry. "Well, then you may thank her for saving your life. By Jove, it was capitally done." And the old doctor looked at the girl with as much admiration as curiosity in his face. Oh, never mind that. See to the wound, please, while I run for bandages and salts and wine. Miss Muir was gone as she spoke, so fleetingly that it was in vain to call her back or catch her. During her brief absence, the story was told by repentant Ned, and the wound examined. "Fortunately, I have my case of instruments with me," said the doctor, spreading on the bench a long array of tiny, glittering implements of torture. "Now, Mr. Ned, come here. Hold the arm in that way while I tie the artery. Hey, that will never do. Don't tremble so, man. Look away and hold it steadily." I can't." And poor Ned turned faint and white, not at the sight, but at the bitter thought that he had longed to kill his brother. "Hey, Powder. How's it going?" "I will hold it." And a slender white hand lifted the bare and bloody arm so firmly, steadily, that Coventry sighed a sigh of relief, and Dr. Scott fell to work with an emphatic nod of approval. It was soon over, and while Edward ran in to bid the servants beware of alarming their mistress, Dr. Scott put up his instruments, and Miss Muir used salts, water, and wine so skillfully that Gerald was able to walk to his room, leaning on the old man, while the girl supported the wounded arm, as no sling could be made on the spot. As he entered the chamber, Coventry turned, put out his left hand, and, with much feeling in his fine eyes, said simply, "Miss Muir, I thank you." The color came up beautifully in her pale cheeks as she pressed the hand and, without a word, vanished from the room. Lucia and the housekeeper came bustling in, and there was no lack of attendance on the invalid. He soon wearied of it and sent them all away, but Ned, who remorsefully haunted the chamber, looking like a comely young Cain and feeling like an outcast. "Come here, lad, and tell me all about it. I was wrong to be so domineering. Forgive me, and believe that I care for your happiness more sincerely than for my own." These frank and friendly words healed the breach between the two brothers, and completely conquered Ned. Gladly did he relate his love passages, for no young lover ever tires of that amusement if he has a sympathizing auditor, and Gerald was sympathetic now. For an hour did he lie listening patiently to the history of the growth of his brother's passion. Emotion gave the narrator eloquence, and Jane Muir's character was painted in glowing colors. All her unsuspected kindness to those about her was dwelt upon, all her faithful care, her sisterly interest in Bella, her gentle attentions to their mother, her sweet forbearance with Lucia, who plainly showed her dislike, and most of all, her friendly counsel, sympathy, and regard for Ned himself. She would make a man of me. She puts strength and courage into me as no one else can. Oh, she is unlike any girl I ever saw. There's no sentimentality about her. She's wise and kind and sweet. She says what she means, looks you straight in the eye, and is as true as steel. I've tried her. I know her, and Gerald, I love her so." Here the poor lad leaned his face into his hands and sighed a sigh that made his brother's heart ache. "Upon my soul, Ned, I feel for you, and if there was no obstacle on her part, I'd do my best for you. She loves Sydney, and so there is nothing for it but to bear your fate like a man." "Are you sure about Sydney? May it not be someone else?" And Ned eyed his brother with a suspicious look. Coventry told him all he knew and surmised concerning his friend, not forgetting the letter. Edward mused a moment, then seemed relieved, and said frankly, "I'm glad it's Sydney, and not you. I can bear it better." "Me?" ejaculated Gerald, with a laugh. "Yes, you. I've been tormented lately with the fear that you cared for her, or rather, she for you." "You jealous young fool. We never see or speak to one another scarcely, so how could we get up a tender interest?" "Well, what do you lounge about on that terrace for every evening? And why does she get fluttered when your shadow begins to come and go?" demanded Edward. "I like the music. I don't care for the society of the singer, and that's why I walk there. The fluttering is all your imagination. Miss Muir isn't a woman to be fluttered by a man's shadow." "Too true." And Coventry glanced at his useless arm. "Thank you for that, for not saying little Muir as you generally do. Perhaps it was my imagination, but she never makes fun of you now, and so I fancied she might have lost her heart to the young master. Women often do, you know." "She used to ridicule me, did she?" asked Coventry, taking no notice of the latter part of his brother's speech, which was quite true, nevertheless. Well, not exactly. She was too well-bred for that. But sometimes when Bella and I joked about you, she'd say something so odd or witty that it was irresistible. You're used to being laughed at, so you don't mind, I know, just among ourselves. Not I. Laugh away as much as you like, said Gerald. But he did mind, and wanted exceedingly to know what Miss Muir had said. He was too proud to ask. He turned restlessly and uttered a sigh of pain. Oh, I am talking too much. Oh no, this is Edward. I'm talking too much. It's bad for you. Dr. Scott said you must be quiet. Now, go to sleep if you can. Edward left the bedside, but not the room, for he would let no one take his place. Coventry tried to sleep, found it impossible, and after a restless hour, called his brother back. If the bandage was loosened a bit, it would ease my arm, and then I could sleep. Can you do it, Ned? I dare not touch it. The doctor gave orders to leave it till he came in the morning, and I shall only do harm if I try. But I tell you, it's too tight. My arm is swelling and the pain is intense. It can't be right to leave it so. Well, Dr. Scott dressed it in a hurry and did it too tight. Common sense will tell you that, said Coventry impatiently. I'll call Mrs. Morris. She will understand what's best to be done. And Edward moved toward the door, looking anxious. Oh, not she. She'll only make a stir and torment me with her chatter. I'll bear it as long as I can, and perhaps Dr. Scott will come tonight. He said he would if possible. Go to your dinner, Ned. I'll ring for Neil if I need anything. I shall sleep if I'm alone, perhaps. Edward reluctantly obeyed, and his brother was left to himself. Little rest did he find, however, for the pain of the wounded arm grew unbearable, and taking a sudden resolution, he rang for his servant. Neil, go to Miss Coventry's study, and if Miss Muir is there, ask her to be kind enough to come to me. I'm in great pain, and she understands wounds better than anyone else in the house. With much surprise in his face, the man departed, and a few moments after the door noiselessly opened, and Miss Muir came in. It had been a very warm day, and for the first time she had left off her plain black dress. All in white, with no ornament but her fair hair, and a fragrant posy of violets in her belt, she looked a different woman from the meek, nun-like creature one usually saw about the house. Her face was as altered as her dress, for now a soft color glowed in her cheeks, her eyes smiled shyly, and her lips no longer wore the firm look of one who forcibly repressed every emotion. A fresh, gentle, and charming woman she seemed, and Coventry found the dull room suddenly brightened by her presence. Raoul Ortega, hello. Hello, how are you doing? Going straight to him, she said simply, and with a happy, helpful look, very comforting to see, I'm glad you sent for me. What can I do for you? He told her, and before the complaint was ended, she began loosening the bandages with the decision of one who understood what was to be done, and had faith in herself. Oh, that's relief, that's comfort, ejaculated Coventry, as the last tight fold fell away. Ned was afraid I should bleed to death if he touched me. What will the doctor say to us? I neither know nor care. I shall say to him that he is a bad surgeon to bind it so closely, and not leave orders to have it untied if necessary. Now I shall make it easy and put you to sleep, for that is what you need. Shall I? May I? Oh, I wish you would, if you can. And while she deftly rearranged the bandages, the young man watched her curiously. Presently he asked, How came you to know so much about these things?
In the hospital where I was ill, I saw much that interested me. And when I got better, I used to sing to the patients sometimes.
Do you mean to sing to me?
He asked, in the submissive tone men unconsciously adopt when ill and in a woman's care.
Okay, Louisa. That felt very much like a note from the author there.
If you like it better than reading aloud in a dreamy tone, she answered, as she tied the last knot.
I do.
Much better, he said decidedly.
The man cold. Yeah, I feel like Louisa is basically saying man cold. To be fair, in Coventry's case, like, that is a legit injury.
You are feverish. I shall wet your forehead, and then you will be quite comfortable. She moved about the room in the quiet way which made it a pleasure to watch her, and, having mingled a little cologne with water, bathed his face as unconcernedly as if he had been a child. Her proceedings not only comforted but amused Coventry, who mentally contrasted her with the stout, beer-drinking matron who had ruled over him in his last illness. A clever, kindly little woman, he thought, and felt quite at his ease. She was so perfectly easy herself. There, now you look more like yourself, she said with an approving nod as she finished, and smoothed the dark locks off his forehead with a cool, soft hand. Then, seating herself in a large chair nearby, she began to sing, while tidily rolling up the fresh bandages which had been left for the morning. Coventry lay watching her by the dim light that burned in the room, and she sang on as easily as a bird, a dreamy, low-toned lullaby, which soothed the listener like a spell. Presently, looking up to see the effect of her song, she found the young man wide awake and regarding her with a curious mixture of pleasure, interest, and admiration. "Shut your eyes, Mr. Coventry," she said, with a reproving shake of the head and an odd little smile. He laughed and obeyed, but could not resist an occasional covert glance from under his lashes at the slender white figure in the great velvet chair. She saw him and frowned. "You are very disobedient. Why won't you sleep?" "I can't. I want to listen. I'm fond of nightingales." "Damn you two! Chill out." Does anyone else feel like this feels kind of like one of those ASMR, I take care of you when you're sick kind of things? Shut your eyes, Mr. Coventry. Also, I wasn't sure at first. In the first chapter, I was like, oh, like the author is spilling the beans early to us that this woman is a fraud, right? But actually, that was so the right choice, because all of this would read like a very basic, humdrum little romance book, except that we know that this woman is a total fraud who is acting her ass off, manipulating all of them. And so we've got these very basic scenes, right, where she just seems like this lovely, obliging governess or whatever, and there's this horrible tension in the background because we know that she's intentionally fucking with them, but we don't know what her motives are yet. It's wonderfully tense, and it just, like, if you took that away, this would be a very basic story, well written on a sentence level, but a very basic story, right? But knowing what we know, it's so tense and like kind of creepy, you know? We're waiting for the shoe to drop, yeah. Miss Moore, caring for you when you're sick ASMR, you're wait, should I do that? Should I make that? Maybe I should make that.
I'm not planning to do lots of roleplay ASMR, but that would be a funny one. Hi, Lav. Oh no, is it happening again, you guys? Lav, that's happened twice so far, and I had to unplug and replug the cables, and that fixed it. Should I do it again, you guys? I don't know what's actually causing it, though. It's fine on your end, Kavuya. How about you, Sean? Because it definitely, like, happened to you a couple times. It's quiet on the right. Let me just take a second and just toggle the cables. Okay, how's this? Is this better? Sound is fine. Well, Taco Cat, it's happened twice already, so... Bye, Raul. Does this sound better, though? Okay, this chapter's almost over, so let's wrap it up. Thank you, Raul. It's mainly on the left. Still? What the hell is causing that? What could be causing this? Damn. Oh. Okay. Okay, testing again. Yeah, I mean, I am even on OBS, the right channel is not spiking up as much as the left. So it is like literally quieter. What could be causing that? Like they are, it's better now? Yeah, but like the two channels, right? On the left is spiking up higher. Weird. Okay. Alright. Well, let's finish though. Okay. So they're like kind of doing this weird flirty thing. I'm fond of nightingales. Then I shall sing no more, but try something that has never failed yet. Give me your hand, please. Much amazed, he gave it, and taking it in both her small ones, she sat down behind the curtain and remained as mute and motionless as a statue. Coventry smiled to himself at first and wondered which would tire first. But soon a subtle warmth seemed to steal from the soft palms that enclosed his own. His heart grew quicker, his breath grew unequal, and 1,000 fancies danced through his brain. He sighed and said dreamily as he turned his face toward her, I like this. And in the act of speaking seemed to sink into a soft cloud which encompassed him about with an atmosphere of perfect repose. More than this he could not remember, for sleep, deep and dreamless, fell upon him. And when he woke, daylight was shining in between the curtains. His hand lay alone on the coverlet. and his fair-haired enchantress was gone. End of chapter. Oh my god. Okay, I am digging this book so much. I am so curious what her game is. She is so good at reading people and knowing how to manipulate like each person individually. Like the way that she has approached each of the family members has been different. And she gets like, granted, she may have had like some information about the family ahead of time from like the Sydneys, which we don't know a lot about, but she seems to be very quick at reading people. I mean, if she's an actress, right, she would be probably very practiced at like reading expressions, like as well as obviously like acting and like putting on her own expressions, but she seems quite skilled at reading other people and like improvising quite quickly. Yeah. You think she's a witch? I mean, Coventry did call her a Scotch witch. Hi, Sunflower. Thank you so much, Sunflower. Sorry if I just saw that message. You knew it? What did you know? That she's a witch? Yeah, okay. So, we read 3 chapters tonight. It's only 9 chapters long. So, hopefully we can read a few more. Our next reading stream will be on Sunday. I will try to get all of this audio stuff sorted. Like I was saying earlier, I'm working on transitioning things over into a new like audio program, but it wasn't quite ready to like stream with. It should be by Sunday, but I had to like change some settings back, and that's maybe what's causing some of the mess ups. Dizzy. A Scotch witch sounds better than whiskey witch. Okay, not a non. Thank you for hanging out. Thank you for hanging out. Aw, you're always a cute bean. Okay, well, I think we will do a little bit more just like chatting and ASMR triggers. Probably not like too late. My back has been pretty bad lately, so I don't see doing like a 6-hour stream or whatever, but maybe even like half an hour to wind up over on Twitch. But we will wrap up first on YouTube. So I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who watched on YouTube, or if you're watching this after the fact, I hope you really enjoyed it. I'll be back to read more of this live on Sunday evening, around 9 to 9:30 Pacific time. On Sunday is when I'll be going live on YouTube. I go live at 8 p.m. Pacific time on Twitch, but we spend like the first hour-ish just kind of like hanging out. If you would like to catch the rest of my content, like all of it all in one, that happens over on Twitch. If you prefer to watch on YouTube but you also want to catch some of the ASMR, I do have a separate YouTube channel for that, for the ASMR triggers. It is all safe for work ASMR, very chatty, to be honest. We yap. We like to yap. Anyway, yeah. Okay. So, yeah, we'll keep going for, maybe another half hour over on Twitch. Thank you again to YouTube. If you have not subbed yet, if you enjoyed this, if you would like to subscribe, that would be so freaking awesome. I'm trying to qualify for the YouTube partner program, and I need subs and watch hours, so thank you also to everyone who watched over there. And then if you can, like the video, all the freaking things. Thank you. I appreciate you. Okay, I'll be back